WBAY TV, your first alert station. Action 2 News This Morning live stream starts now.
Good Monday morning. Great to have you with us here on our Action 2 News This Morning live stream. I'm Tammy Elliott.
And I'm Emerson Lehman. Thanks for streaming along with us on this Groundhog's Day. Just when you thought this winter was long enough, well, the pesky groundhog out in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania says 6 more weeks of it. There's Phil being celebrated by all of those in Pennsylvania, even though he decided we all need to stay cold a little bit longer. Groundhog's Day has been celebrated since 1887. That's when the people of Punxsutawney went to Gobbler's Knob, marking the midpoint between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. Despite its silliness, the event remains a beloved tradition. Phil's accuracy is questionable, however, with federal weather officials saying he's been right only about 40% of the time. That's why we like Steve more.
Yes, we do. And closer to home, Groundhog Jimmy.
I like that. There's a stuffed Jimmy. You got a groundhog?
About to make his
like
own
that. You
prediction.
look like you're ready to
That's
have some
right.
fun.
Maybe we're told that Jimmy has had a lot better, more accuracy. We're around 60% accuracy. So maybe Jimmy's going to say an early spring.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
We could be pretty happy about that, but you can see all the excitement going on right now. It's fun to have this in the Midwest as well.
Yeah, we love that. And there's supposed to be, it's about 5 minutes from now, I think, is when we're going to hear the official Groundhog Jimmy forecast. The furry forecaster there. We'll see what he's going to say. Okay, we're going to monitor that. And Steve, we're going to chat with you about this.
I'm not quite as furry, except in November when there's no shade in November.
That, yes.
But you know what? For those who are just coming out of a burrow or under a rock and don't know the folklore in regards to Groundhog Day, basically here's the deal: the groundhog is pulled up from his home. And if he sees his shadow, then he gets scared, and that means there's 6 more weeks of winter. And if he doesn't see his shadow, and he's like, oh, this is cool, then it means that an early spring is coming. So is the groundhog going to see his shadow? Well, as you guys were saying, Punxsutawney Phil, way out there in Pennsylvania, despite cloudy skies, apparently did see his shadow. It means 6 more weeks of winter out there. We do have, and I double checked, we have cloudy skies over Sun Prairie right now. And we will see what Jimmy says as he gets pulled up from his slumber in the next 5 minutes or so. All right, let's see if I can switch over to First Alert Viper Backs. There's a couple little snow showers across the area. Oshkosh over towards New London, or just west of New London into Wapaka County, and then northeast up towards the Breed area. Most of the snow came through earlier in the night and put a little coating on the ground, an inch or less. Not a lot of snow, but you probably are noticing it on your driveway. You'll have to skim that off sometime today. And we do have some slick travel. Our severe weather outlook is in the low category for the travel this morning. You'll especially notice the slippery streets on the side and secondary roads. It looks like Walnut Street here looks a little bit clearer than it did about a couple hours ago. It is cloudy and 21 degrees with a wind chill of 11. We'll see highs in the mid-20s today, a seasonable early February day, a high of 26. Clouds giving way to some patchy sunshine as we go into the midday and the afternoon. Here's First Alert Pinpoint Predictor tracking those clouds. You can see them trying to break open later this morning. 1 o'clock this afternoon, partly sunny skies. Ditto that 4 o'clock this afternoon. I do expect some clouds around this evening, but we'll clear things out as the night wears on. And your high temperatures today, about where they should be for early February. We use the word seasonable. Highs in the mid-20s, but a little bit colder north and west, and that is often the case, especially with that chilly weather up there in the north woods. With a west wind blowing in around 5 to 10 miles an hour, our wind chills from start to finish today should be in the teens.
Well, this is mild, right? I mean, it's, for this time of year.
Considering the past couple weeks,
I was going to say the temperature swing, Steve, from what we had a week and a half ago. This is a heat wave for us.
Yeah, I mean, a more seasonable, normal winter weather stretch will be appealing for most folks. Towards the end of this stretch, we are going to deal with our next weather maker. We're going to have some snow showers invade northeast Wisconsin Thursday, perhaps into Friday morning, and you know the drill, that creates some slippery travel at times. So Thursday into Friday, our severe weather outlook is in the low category. So another one of those Alberta clippers, those quick-moving low-pressure systems from the Canadian Rockies. It's going to follow the jet stream down towards the Great Lakes, and that jet stream will be packing some energy as it slices across Wisconsin as we go towards Thursday and Friday. However, the atmosphere is not going to be really chock full of moisture. And as this weather maker comes in Thursday and Friday, it'll be very similar to what we got last night, an inch or less of snowfall. That's based on a couple of the longer range computer models that we use in the First Alert Weather Center, which we tend to trust. 21 is your temperature right now in Green Bay. Feels like 11 with a west wind at 8 miles an hour. So today, clouds and patchy sunshine, a seasonable day with a high of 26. Tonight, evening clouds and then clearing and snappy cold with a low of 7. Check out your First Alert Super 7-day forecast. A little colder the next couple days. Highs will be near 20 with a little more sunshine, but with clouds and wind. Thursday and Friday, we'll have snow showers and highs back up to near the freezing mark. It gets a little colder again towards the weekend, 19 on Saturday, 29 on Sunday. Sunday night, we could have some snow showers or a little bit of some icy mixed precipitation. And before I wrap up my weather, I want to talk about not necessarily that weekend, but the next one, because I am planting my First Alert flag down and talking about the sturgeon spearing opener. So it's not this weekend, it's the following weekend, February 14th and 15th. And to me, this early in the game, it looks like it's going to be mild with highs in the 30s. And that southwest wind on Saturday might be a bit brisk. But hey, can you think of a better way to spend your Valentine's Day with a big, ugly fish? Does that sound great?
You know what else sounds great, Steve?
Some people love it, though. Hey.
You know what else sounds great? No better way to spend your Monday night, but with you and the First Alert Weather Team and our weather special. That's tonight, right?
Yep, tonight. So
the day
6:30.
is here.
Our midwinter halftime report. You know, we're kind of playing off the Packers football thing. So on all of our WBAY streaming platforms, 6:30, our streaming show starts. We'll be talking about how winter's gone so far and how it's probably going to go the rest of the season, maybe kind of dip our toes into what spring could be like. And we'll go through a lot of climate data and a lot of the wise things have happened so far. We've got a couple of good interviews. So we're speaking with Kurt Kotenberg, warning coordinator with the National Weather Service. He's chock full of great information. And again, 6:30. So after our 6 o'clock newscast tonight on our WBAY streaming platforms.
So where people are watching us right now, they're streaming with us,
if
right?
you're watching it now, then 6:30 this evening, go to the same place and you'll see us and our First Alert Weather Team talking about how winter is been and how it's going to be.
All right, looking forward to that, Steve. Thanks so much. Speaking of winter, we're going to check back in with our friends in Sun Prairie. Jimmy, here we go. Let's listen in here.
Cloudy. Thus, I am unable to see my shadow. In consideration of this, I hereby proclaim that we will have an early spring.
I think we're going to stick with Jimmy being right more often than Phil out in Pennsylvania. So Jimmy's early spring because of all the cloudy weather down there in Sun Prairie today.
Did you hear the cheers too?
Lots of cheers.
Yeah, they're happy about that.
That is going to be exciting to follow along with and see who is the more accurate for 2026. Again, if it's going to be a longer winter, let's at least make it, you know, the snowy, fun kind, not these negative 40 wind chills.
Exactly.
That's not necessary. We can avoid that. So, all right, there we go. We heard it right there.
All right, we're turning to a much more serious topic now about cardiovascular disease. And listen to this statistic. Someone dies from cardiovascular disease every 34 seconds in the United States.
Yeah, that's pretty shocking to hear that. That's from the Centers for Disease Control. Kristen Allen joining us live in Green Bay this morning. Kristen, a survivor is speaking up. He had a very little chance of survival, but he's doing well now and he wants to help others as well.
That's right. It's really an amazing story. We spoke with a heart attack survivor, and what he's really encouraging people is to be aware of your body, be aware of any symptoms that no matter how insignificant they may seem, if something feels just a little bit off, to make sure that you get checked out and as soon as possible, because sometimes it can mean the difference between life and death. Scott Sayolka is that heart attack survivor, and he says one morning he woke up and felt just a little bit lightheaded but didn't give it much thought. So He went about his day as usual, went to work, but it was getting worse. Then he started sweating profusely. A coworker called paramedics. Sayolka went into cardiac arrest after emergency responders arrived. They were able to do CPR immediately, but Sayolka's heart stopped multiple times. As a last-ditch effort in the ER, doctors administered a clot-busting medication, and they were able to get his pulse back.
I was just really happy that I made it. A lot of people don't make through what I had. I think I was told 7% survival rate.
He had what everybody calls the widowmaker. You know, he had a 99% blockage of the artery to the front of the heart.
And doctors were able to open up that blockage with a stent. Sayolka was in the ICU and had some complications with temporary kidney failure that required dialysis, but amazingly, he made a full recovery without any permanent brain damage. That's really shocking considering the amount of times he was in cardiac arrest. The cardiologist who treated Sayolka says it's really the things that you do when you're younger that can have that big impact on you later in life. And so it's really important to get a handle on blood pressure and cholesterol, to know your numbers, to meet with your primary care doctor, to know your risk, and of course the common things that we always hear about, such as getting plenty of exercise and eating healthy as well. Back to you.
All right, Kristen, thanks so much. Now Aisha joining us to talk about concussions and kids. This is something that's often misdiagnosed.
Yeah, we're just learning some new research this morning talking about concussions, and we think about those often, they happen in car crashes. We talk about contact sports all the time, and mostly adults or like I said, athletes, but we don't often think about younger kids who might get concussions, and they often go misdiagnosed according to this new research. It's from Nationwide Children's Hospital. It says smaller kids don't often have the right words to explain their symptoms, and that's why it often goes either misdiagnosed or just sideswept altogether. So with this new research, it says because of that, about 1 in 4 kids younger than 6 years old who suffer concussion will often develop prolonged symptoms. So if you do, first and foremost, if you think your child has a concussion, see a doctor right away. That's first and foremost, because a lot of those symptoms, if you treat them early, you can avoid those long-term issues. And so in this latest report, researchers found that when kids between the ages of 0, so newborns all the way up to 6 years old, suffer a concussion, the symptoms can look different than other people. So we're talking about behavioral changes, they get more irritable, there's appetite changes, decreased socialization, stomach aches, increased dependence, or clinginess.
These symptoms can affect their daily lives. They can affect participation in things like daycare or school if they're in school at that point. They can also affect parent-child interactions.
And obviously some of those symptoms could be a lot of different things, but if you know that maybe your child bumped their head or something might have happened, you have a sneaking suspicion that they had a concussion, again, see a doctor. And this study found that up to 33% of young children with a concussion will have persisting symptoms up to a month. So for about a month, they'll be dealing with that. And so with this research, the next step is to figure out how to best treat those symptoms, particularly in those little kiddos, and then either it's pain management or changes to their daily activities. So yeah, it's pretty interesting.
All very important as well, not something to mess with. All right, Aisha, thanks so much.
Sure.
All right, Steve, which one do you think, Phil or Jimmy?
Which do I think?
Yeah.
Well, see, it's not necessarily that it has to be like that, you know, black and white or, you know, one or the other.
Sure.
I don't want to spoil everything that we're going to talk about in our special tonight.
Yeah.
But I would say there's 3 things that we're definitely focused in on. One, that we're probably moving forward going to have fewer periods of extreme temperature. Through much of this winter, it has either been way above normal or way below normal, right? Yeah. And I think moving forward, we'll have fewer extremes and more stretches of normal temperatures. Okay. Secondly, we're expecting the likelihood into spring of above normal precipitation. May not start off that way in the next week or so, but big picture wise, as we go deeper into February, March, into April, probably a little bit more wetter weather, which could mean some snow and could mean some rain, depending on where those temperatures at. And we also talked about, and I say we, Kirk Kotenberg with the Weather Service and I, and this obviously is impacting you, Aisha, we'll probably find better road conditions with these late winter storms compared to the storms you have earlier in the season. because when you get deeper into spring, the sun is higher up in the sky. And it's adding a lot more solar radiation to the asphalt, which retains that heat. And so when you do get snow, that helps to melt it quicker.
Sure.
Compared to storm systems that you're getting in December, in January. So something to look forward to as we get into March, and heaven forbid we get snow into April. But hey, it's Wisconsin. It's going to happen, right?
That's true.
And people can watch that tonight at 6:30.
6:30, and a lot more. And not just me. We got David Ernst and Emily Mers and Nolan Kane. So we're all happy to share some nuggets of knowledge with you.
The whole team.
It's a team effort. I love team efforts.
Great, it's great.
We'll be back here tomorrow morning for another team effort. We'll see you all there. Have a great day, everybody.